Have you ever noticed how the things that are actually good for you often feel the hardest to begin? Studying for an important exam, starting a workout, opening your laptop to work on something meaningful, or even sending a message you've been avoiding for days. For some reason, the moment you think about doing these things, a quiet resistance appears. Suddenly, everything feels heavier. Your mind starts looking for distractions. You tell yourself you'll start later, and later slowly turns into tomorrow. If this experience feels familiar, many people assume the problem is laziness or a lack of discipline. But psychology tells us something very different. Your brain is not broken, and you are not lazy. In fact, your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is trying to avoid unnecessary effort. From a survival perspective, effort has always been expensive. For most of human history, energy was limited. Our ancestors needed to conserve their strength to find food, escape danger, and survive harsh environments. Because of that, the brain developed an incredibly efficient system. It constantly asks one simple question: can I get the same result while using less energy? If the answer is yes, the brain naturally chooses the easier path. That's why scrolling on your phone feels effortless while studying feels draining. Why staying comfortable feels safer than trying something difficult. And why starting a challenging task can feel uncomfortable before you even begin. Avoiding hard things is not a personal flaw. It is simply your brain trying to be efficient. The real problem is that most people were never taught how to connect discomfort with growth. Instead, the brain learns a very simple rule early in life. Discomfort equals something to avoid. And once that rule is learned, the brain tries to protect you from effort whenever possible. But here is where psychology reveals something important. Your brain can actually be trained to want effort. Not by forcing yourself through constant pressure, but by gradually teaching your brain that effort leads somewhere positive. One of the biggest misunderstandings people have about productivity is motivation. Most people believe motivation must come first. They wait until they feel inspired, energized, or ready before they begin a difficult task. But psychological research shows the opposite. Motivation rarely comes before action. Instead, action is what creates motivation. This is closely connected to how the brain releases dopamine. Many people think dopamine appears before effort, pushing us into action. In reality, dopamine is more strongly released after progress is made. That means the hardest moment of any task is often the beginning. Opening the laptop can feel harder than actually doing the work. Putting on your running shoes can feel harder than the run itself. But once you start, something interesting happens. Your brain begins to notice progress, and progress creates a small reward signal. Over time, the brain slowly learns that effort leads to something meaningful. And when that learning repeats enough times, your brain begins to crave progress instead of avoiding effort. Another reason difficult tasks feel overwhelming is something psychologists call effort prediction error. Before we begin a task, our brain tends to exaggerate how hard it will be. The task grows larger in our imagination than it actually is. So when you think, "I don't have the energy for this," what you are often reacting to is not the task itself. You are reacting to the anticipation of effort. Your brain is predicting discomfort that may not actually be as intense as expected. This is why many productivity experts recommend lowering the entry point of any task. Instead of saying, "I need to study for 2 hours," try something much smaller. Open the notebook, write one sentence, read one page. These small beginnings reduce the brain's resistance. Once you start moving, the discomfort often fades faster than expected. And quietly, your brain updates its prediction. It learns that effort may not be as painful as it first imagined. Over time, these experiences reshape the brain's relationship with effort. Another powerful shift happens when we change what we reward. Your brain does not learn from your intentions, it learns from your rewards. If you only reward big outcomes, perfect grades, huge accomplishments, flawless results, your brain may start seeing effort as risky. because if the result isn't perfect, the effort feels wasted. But when you reward something different, simply showing up, the brain learns a new lesson. Effort itself becomes valuable. Something as simple as acknowledging, "I tried today," can create a powerful psychological signal. It tells your brain that discomfort does not lead to punishment. It leads to relief and progress. Over time, effort stops feeling like a threat and begins to feel like fuel for growth. Another powerful factor in this process is identity. Your brain naturally follows the story you tell about yourself. If the story in your mind is, "I'm someone who struggles with discipline," your brain begins avoiding situations that challenge that belief. But when the story shifts to something slightly different, everything starts to change. Instead of saying, "I'm bad at sticking with hard things," the story becomes, "I'm someone who shows up even if it's imperfect." This small shift in identity changes how the brain behaves. Now, instead of avoiding effort, the brain begins looking for chances to act in alignment with that identity. Confidence also grows in a similar way. Many people believe confidence comes before action, but in reality, confidence is built after repeated effort. Every time you follow through on something difficult, even in a small way, your brain learns something new. It quietly updates the internal story. This is who we are becoming. There is one more psychological factor that changes everything: emotional safety. Your brain becomes extremely resistant to effort when discomfort is paired with harsh self-criticism. If every difficult task ends with thoughts like, "I failed," or "I'm not good enough," the brain learns to escape those situations entirely. But when effort is met with patience, curiosity, and respect, the brain stays engaged. Growth does not require harshness. It requires safety. When discomfort no longer threatens your self-worth, your brain no longer feels the need to run from it. And this is where the real transformation begins. Craving hard things does not come from forcing yourself endlessly. It comes from slowly retraining your brain to see discomfort in a different way, not as punishment, but as proof that something meaningful is happening. You were never avoiding effort because you were weak. You were avoiding something your brain had not yet learned to understand. But once your brain experiences effort leading to progress again and again, something remarkable happens. The same mind that once chased comfort begins chasing growth. And sometimes, real change does not come from becoming someone new. Sometimes it simply comes from learning how to work with your own mind instead of fighting against it.